Okay. Let me read the prompt for us. This week focuses on defining ethics as a group, exploring how ethics shape leadership and how ethical behavior is reflected in public leadership. Oh, okay. That's the whole prompt.
And then chapter 11 is about ethical leadership and followership.
Yeah. I'm looking to that right now.
Okay. I don't know if anyone else is taking COM 308 or like took COM 208, I think is what it's called. But like that's like communication research methods or whatever. And like that whole class is based on ethics and stuff. So like that's how I'm the most familiar with ethics and like experimental ethics and stuff. So it's like interesting to like think about leadership ethics too on a different scale. Because like it's definitely important for a leader to be fair and like ethical to its followers, or they're just not a good leader.
Yeah, what I know about it is that like ethical leadership is leadership that is directed by respect for like ethical beliefs and values for the dignity and rights of others. So like it's related to like trust, honesty, like consideration and fairness.
Yeah, and I think what's also big is like if you're a leader of a group and something unethical occurs, like you have to be the one that, you know, like realizes it and is like, this is not okay. Like, you know, like you have to acknowledge and try and correct it.
Yeah, like being the leader, like taking responsibility for like unethical or unfair things that are going on, like between you and follower or like follower to follower, like that becomes your responsibility.
Yeah, or if it's something company-wide, like you might have to take responsibility and go down for the whole thing because even if it wasn't you, you're in charge of that group of followers. So it's all your responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Let's see.
They like the chapter 11 like talks about like the Uber and like the ethical issues between like whether you're an independent contractor or you're an employee or you know like let me see this one more time. Just like how it's like it could there's a lot of different ways it can go right. Like obviously like Uber like they don't come to work, you don't see their employees every day, so it's like you don't know what's happening in the car. Like I know Uber actually just added like on the app there's a panic button, so like if you feel unsafe or something because they're like not there, they're not in the office, they can't save you if something's going wrong with your driver or something. So like they added that as a feature to like solve some ethical issues, but I feel like there's still
the Uber one is really interesting to me because I feel like Uber, there's no like limit on how much you can drive. You could do like 120 hours a week if you wanted, and no one would be there to stop you. But you also like wouldn't make any overtime. That like really fair? Like, should they have restrictions on how much you can drive, or should they just let you drive for like however many rides you want a week?
That's actually a really good point because like I was also like looking at the components of ethical behavior, and so like the first component is moral sensitivity, which is like recognition of like an issue or something that's going on, and then judgment about what's happening in that issue is component 2, and then moral character is implementing a solution or new policy. So like, yeah, maybe they should implement a policy where it's like, hey, like, you can do as much as you want, but you're only getting paid this much for this many hours. And the more that you drive, that's just for fun.
The same, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really valid. Like from my own experience with what I felt like was unethical, I am a dance teacher, and I was working at 2 different places, and one place was like, as long as you're here, like you're getting paid, like obviously this is your job, we understand that. And then another one was like, anything other than like you teaching, you're not getting paid for. So anything that I had to be there, like meetings or like performances that my students were in or anything, like I wouldn't get paid for, even though like that was my job. And so I just like, I ended up quitting that, working there, because I felt like that was just super unethical that they would ask me to like be there but not be willing to like compensate me for like my time or like what I was doing, even though I was hired like as an employee to work, not on a volunteer basis at all.
Wow, that's actually such a good example of them. That really blows my mind too.
Yeah, it was really stupid.
Yeah, I feel like that's really unfair to you.
Just wait. I found out later that they were paying like other people who they had brought in to like help with like, because we have like performances and stuff, and that they were paying other people. They were paying some people and not other people.
Wow.
And they were just like choosing. There was nothing between, like there was no difference. They just were choosing to pay some people and not others. And I was like, this is actually the worst thing I've ever been a part of. So I'm quitting.
Wow.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So that was not fun.
I think also like I like similarly like at my, like the theater that I work at, once I agree to like say choreograph a show or like teach a something or other, like then it's like, oh, because you also stay and do this and like all the stuff I do on top of it. So like I get there 20 minutes early to set up and like get the speaker ready and all this stuff, check in the kids. And it's like, one, I don't get paid much to do the actual thing itself, and then all the like 30 minutes before, 30 minutes after stuff don't get paid for that either. So I feel like that's just like super unethical as a leader, like taking advantage of your employees' time and like seeing how far you can get them to, work for you.
Yeah, I would agree that like abusing power like that is pretty unethical and taking advantage of employees, especially if they're in like a vulnerable position like that, where like you don't know what other people are being paid, or you're just trying to keep the job, so you'll do whatever.
Right.
Yeah, I think as like an ethical leader, you have to care about your employees, like the people, more than you do about like the profits that you're bringing in.
Yeah. No, I agree.
How long have we been going for right now?
It's been about 10 minutes.
Okay, so a couple more.
I'd say my experience, how ethics shape leadership. I played football at a pretty high level. And so obviously through coaching, there's a lot of leadership and whatnot. Funny thing is in football, coaches typically aren't super ethical. They're not really totally worried about rules. They're not really totally worried about like moral sensitivity, for example. It's really just about either you're doing your job or you're not. And if you're not, you're going to get cussed out or taken out or something. Like, it's not really, I don't think that's a thought that really crosses most coaches' heads of, is this ethical or is it not? I say it's more so just spur of the moment, like reacting off of their emotions. So I'd say it definitely is good leadership in a sense, but then again, like ethics don't really influence it that much, at least from my standpoint.
So like it affects your playing time and who plays and what they play and.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I'm just reading through these components and like moral sensitivity, moral judgment, moral character. Like it's just kind of funny how a lot of coaches I have lack that, yet they're still coaching at a high level or still considered a good coach, and behind the scenes, it's like, wow, this dude's really actually an asshole or really doesn't give a rip about what anyone's doing,
With a lot of sports, like even in high school sports, I remember coaches were doing like stuff that they have been, and it's just like high school, So I imagine like if it's at a higher level, then it's really a lot of unethical stuff would be going on.
Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
even like, I don't know if any of you guys are like from here, but I grew up here in Chandler, and like Hamilton High School was like the best always at football, like while I was in high school. And then like 2 or 3 years ago, it came out that there was like a bunch of like these crazy allegations about like what players were doing to each other in the locker room, and like that the coach and the principal knew about it, and like that they were like trying to handle it, but it was like things that the police should have been known about. And like it's just interesting to think about like how far can leadership, like leadership 100% has the responsibility over it, but where does it come into play that like the followers need to like step up and like be like, hey, this is not right, like someone needs to do something if like the leader isn't.
That's a really good point.
Definitely.
Like a really good point. So yeah, I feel like as a whole, like I guess like with the exception, like if your team's winning, like you're looked at as a good leader. But like in a company or public setting, like say like a political leader, like ethics is like very important to like define like if you're a good leader or not. So like I feel like it's easy to be seen as corrupt when you're like, I don't know, such a public figure. So I feel like ethics is super important on a high level like that, because like everything is so nitpicked, everything is watched really closely. And definitely like, but also it may not be as sensitive because like, you know, like in an election, you're doing whatever you can to win. So like maybe you're saying something that's like not the most ethical, but like it might get you more votes, which is an interesting line.
Yeah, definitely.
Did we hit the mark maybe?
I think so. I think we started at 9:05 or something around there.
All right, cool.
Cool.
Great work.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Have a great day, guys.
You too.